following announcement has been paid for by the New Howl Order.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louis T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. Whew. So the good guys got a nice slice of ass-whooping pie yesterday. A very humbling defeat at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. We sat here on Friday and talked about the magnitude of this game and what it meant. Grand scheme of things, how close are we? Where are we in our progression? Are we ready to take that next step? The answer? No, we weren't there yet. A definitive no. 37-3 was the final score. And the score doesn't always tell the story of how bad and lopsided the game was. This score indicates the nature of this game. And although this was a 16-point game with Washington having the football, early stages of the fourth quarter, when you get sacked 9 times, when you turn it over 5 times, when you go 0 for 2 in the red zone, you deserve to get beat 37-3. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was a slop fest on the part of Washington. Josh Allen looked like he had changed uniforms on the sideline. His jersey was so clean on the front of it. It was a long day for the good guys. And as disappointing of an effort as it was, you got to tip your cap to Buffalo. That's a good football team over there. And they took advantage of a young football team. And I said this yesterday. I'll reiterate it today because I feel the exact same way I did yesterday, right after the game. After watching the game again, I feel the exact same way today. Buffalo's a really good team. And they showed why they are a Super Bowl contender. Josh Allen showed why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And in order to get to that level, you got to take your lumps. You'd love to skip steps. Who doesn't? Who doesn't love to skip steps? But it's hard. Especially when you have a quarterback in his 4th career start in the NFL. It's hard to skip steps. And we found that out yesterday in a major way. So let's talk about the game yesterday. We had keys to the game on both offense and defense. Let's see what they did in this game. And obviously it wasn't good. And we'll talk about those things as we go through these keys to the game and victory. So let's start on the offensive side of the football. Not a lot of good on that side of the football. The first key to the game was deal with the elements. Protect the Duke. So the elements, while it was, raining for most of the afternoon, it wasn't like a downpour. There was really no heavy rain. The wind really wasn't a factor. We talked about the wind not really being a factor. We didn't think it would be. It was supposed to let up by the time the game kicked off. So the wind really wasn't a factor. It was more about it being wet out, but that wasn't a big deal. And both teams had to deal with it. And I thought each quarterback had no issues throwing the football. There was no issue with grip for the players running with the football. It was the elements really didn't play much of an issue, play much of a part in the outcome of this game. What happened though, what did play a massive, what did have a massive impact on the outcome of the game was the turnovers. And you can't turn it over 5 times. I don't care who you're playing, let alone one of the best teams in football. I don't care who you're playing. We could have been playing the Arizona Cardinals. We would have lost this game. We could have been playing the Houston Texans. We could have been playing, a team that hasn't won a game, i.e. the Denver Broncos, who we played a week ago. You turn it over 5 times, you're going to lose a football game. Plain and simple. Can't lose the turnover battle by 4, which is what we did yesterday. We did not protect the Duke, so obviously we didn't get any credit for that. You probably could argue we should have gotten a -1 for that one. It was so bad yesterday. The next key offensively was start fast, be consistent, efficient, and patient. Obviously, no credit here either We did not start fast yet again. And, the sickening part after going back and watching the game and in the moment, right after the game was done, I felt this way. Going back and watching it, all it did was confirm what I already felt, which was just like the week prior against Denver. We're out here moving the football on these early possessions and we have nothing to show for it. And that is so frustrating. We moved right down the field against Denver last week and, had the unfortunate finish to the drive with the sack and then the missed field goal, right? This week, we're moving it right down the field. We get all the way to the Buffalo 25-yard line. And then Sam takes 2 ill-advised sacks and then compounds matters by trying to get it all back on one play. And what did we talk about in that same comment? What did EB talk about on Wednesday? You got to be patient against against Buffalo. He's played against this team each of the last 5 years, multiple times in probably 2 or 3 of those years, seeing them in the playoffs again. He can tell you firsthand, they're not going to give you chunk plays. You're not going to get a whole hell of a lot of them. You're going to have to be disciplined. And when they have you in 3rd and long, you can't try to get it all back, or you'll make that type of mistake and take points off the scoreboard. Again, teachable moment for Sam. So he wasn't patient. I didn't think EB was patient with the run. Really didn't need to be when you're running it at the clip we were. You didn't need to be patient. You just needed to be consistent, which he wasn't. So we didn't start fast. We weren't consistent on, the offensive side of the football. We weren't efficient. We were 0 of 2 in the red zone. We'll get to that here in a second. And obviously we weren't patient. So no credit there. Make the most of scoring opportunities. We went 0 for in the red zone. As I just mentioned against Denver, we went down the field early in the game and had nothing to show for it. We got 1 field goal, 3 points. We went down the field early in this game, pushed yourself, threw an interception, went for it on 4th and goal from the 1, didn't score there, and had, copious opportunities to get into the end zone and just failed to do so. And those hurt. Those types of missed opportunities, they hurt. They sting. And, I've seen a clip already. I haven't had a chance to watch the all 22s, but I saw a clip from Nikki Javala where she posted, Sam, and this is one of the issues he's had, even going back to North Carolina, sticking on to that first read a little bit too long because he wants to give that, that first read an opportunity to develop and see if he can't get open. But at some point you got to come off and you got to get to the rest of your progression and get through the rest of your progressions. Jahan Dotson is standing wide open at the goal line for an easy pitch and catch touchdown. And Sam never comes off of his first read. And by the time he's looking to try to get off of it, he's got pressure. And now he's throwing the ball away where he could have easily gotten off that first read and gotten to Jahan and gotten a touchdown. So he's just got to speed up the process. That's a part of why there's so many sacks being had right now is he's got to speed up his process. He's going through his progressions too slow. We talked about that last week. There was an opportunity on a dig route to Jahan over the middle of the football field. And he's sticking on Terry, who's in double coverage, and you're looking and you're saying, Sam, he's not open. That's dead. That opportunity to Terry is dead. Move on. And he ends up taking a sack on that play, and he's got Jahan wide open on a deep dig over the middle of the field. Easy pitch and catch. He's got to stop locking in on that number one target and move through his progressions faster. That's how you get to the check down. That's how you avoid the sack. I know you want to push it down the field. If it's not there, on the check, on the number 2. If 2's not there, on the 3. If 3's not there, get to the check down. We didn't make the most of our scoring opportunities. We did not score in the red zone, and it sucks because the week before we were 3 of 3 in the red zone, and we were the polar opposite in this game, 0 of 2. Not enough opportunities in the red zone, first and foremost, but even when we got down there, we turned it over before we could even get into the red zone. So it was a frustrating day all the way around, and the scoreboard bears that out. 3 points that we got in garbage time. So we didn't make the most of scoring opportunities, obviously. And the last one was win the line of scrimmage battle. It gave us a half point. I know you're thinking, what? We dominated up front in the run game. The problem is we just didn't run it enough. That's the truth of the matter. Is that that's on Eric Bieniemy, honestly. When we get to the snap counts, you guys let me know if you agree with the breakdown of this thing. But I think the snap counts are pretty telling. And I complained about it yesterday. I'm going to double down on that complaint today. And I'm going to wag my finger at EB, and shame on you. But the offensive line was dominated by Bill's defensive line. So we didn't win that portion of the battle. But in the run game, we were able to move the football. And I don't love that run down inside the one in gun. I don't. I want you to get into a real traditional run formation, power formation. You don't even have to run it. You can do a lot of things out of that. Play action fake, boot, waggle. You can do a lot of things. You can get it to the fullback, and get it to, the third tight end, Alex Arma. You can do a lot of things. Or you could just run it. But you know what it's hard to do is to run from the one out of the gun when you're handing the ball off to a guy with no momentum 4 or 5 yards, behind the line of scrimmage. That's stupid to me. But what do I know? Anyway, I thought we did a good enough job in the run game to at least make it half. Should have been more opportunities for Brian Robinson Jr. in particular. But again, what do I know? So you move on to the defense. Keys to the game defensively. And the first one was a big one. Pressure and harass Josh Allen with discipline. And I talked about this at the top of the show. The man's jersey was as clean as it gets. For a wet, nasty day, you would think that there would have been a couple of stains on the front of his jersey. Not a single one. He looked like he didn't play today. Looked like it was a preseason game and he was just rooting his team on. The upper half did. I said this yesterday, and Rivera said the same thing during his presser today. So, and I knew this. I didn't need Rivera to say it, but it's always good to hear confirmation of something that I feel from the coaching staff. I said that Josh Allen, he only ran 3 times. It felt like he ran 12 times because he was killing us. But he only ran 3 times. But the 3 runs were so impactful that it scared our guys up front shitless. And we stopped rushing. We were getting pressure early in the game. That first possession, Chase Young had 2 pressures on that first possession of the game. And we got him into a 3rd and 10 with a chance to get off the field. And Josh Allen breaks the pocket, gets up the field, and for the life of me, I don't know why there wasn't a spy, like a Jamin Davis or somebody kind of eyeballing him. I know you want as many guys as you can have in coverage, but with an athlete like Josh Allen, if you want to give your pass rushers free reign to do what it is they do, you got to keep a guy in there with some speed like a Jamin Davis or even a Khaleke Hudson, somebody that you just designate, hey, if he breaks this pocket, go get his ass. We're not bullshitting around. Go get him. All right? I thought they would do that early to try to set a tone maybe. But instead, our guys rushed. They got home. And Allen said, I'm leaving. And when they came and they knocked on the door, Josh Allen was gone. And I think it was that run on that first set of downs of the game when it was 3rd and 10 and we had a chance to get off the field and it was good coverage down the field and Chase Young is bearing down on Josh Allen and he takes off and he gets like a gain of 13. They had another run in there we had him pinned at their own 11 and he takes off for like 23 yards. It was after that run I saw them pretty much make up their mind, hey, we're not going after him. We just going to contain him in the pocket. And it's at that point, now he's got you. Because if you're not coming after him, if you're not being aggressive and trying to get to him, now he's standing back there all day and he's going to carve you up. And that's exactly what he did. And so I really think he got in the heads of our rushers. And again, shame on the defensive staff for allowing that to happen, because you got to know that there's a psyche aspect to this. I don't play football. I just watch it. Okay. And even I could tell, and I said this immediately after the game, they're not rushing at their full capacity because they don't want to let him out again. And so now they're not being as aggressive. That's going to hurt the secondary because now they have to cover longer, and it's going to ultimately lead to guys getting open. And that's what happened. Instead of saying, hey, y'all just do what y'all do. We got a spy waiting on Josh ass. Y'all just let loose. Do what you do. He breaks contain. Jamin or Khalik or Cody will be waiting on his ass. Don't worry. You guys just do what you do up front. That's frustrating because you knew that was a part of the game plan. And while you would love to rush as one, Jack literally talked about this last week. Ron literally talked about this last week with the linebackers. Like, hey, it's tough on the linebackers because we allowed, the defensive line. We allow John and Duran and Chase and Montez. We allow them to do their own thing because we don't want to stunt their growth. We don't want to take away what makes them dominant players. So we let them pick a gap, do it, and they got to respond off of that. Should have been the same premise here. We don't want to stunt their ability to rush. We don't want to kind of bottle them up and say, hey, don't rush aggressively. We got to keep them in the pocket. Let them do whatever it is the hell they want to do. We got somebody back here backing you up. Figure it out on the back end with one less guy in coverage. Dude probably ain't doing shit anyway, but dropping the depth and ain't doing nothing. Our linebackers don't get their hands on footballs any damn way, especially in zone. But I digress. We didn't hold Josh Allen. We didn't rush him with discipline. And we rushed scared. And we didn't harass Josh Allen. We pressured him early. We didn't pressure him often. So obviously you get nothing for that. That's really disappointing. Really disappointing. Control the line of scrimmage. I gave us half. We didn't get after Josh Allen well enough, but I thought we stopped the run well enough when the game was still in the balance. We didn't, after the AG fumble and the subsequent touchdown run by Josh Allen, which was the straw that broke the camel's back. After that, all bets are off. I don't even count that portion of the game defensively for this team after that. Their spirits were broken at that point. After Sam, literally, you get that, then Sam throws the pick six. Their spirit was broken at that point. You go from 16 to 23. Before you see the field again, it's 30-0. Their spirits were broken at that point. So I don't count that last drive when they rammed it down our throat with Kyle Allen in the game. That's how they ran up the total on the ground. But when the game was in the balance, they did a pretty good job of containing James Cook. They really did. So I thought they did a good job of controlling the line of scrimmage from a defensive standpoint. In terms of run stop, not getting after Josh Allen, but I gave him half for that. Limit explosives and red zone efficiency. I gave him half because this was a 16-0 ball game. The Bills got 4 possessions in the red zone, and what did I tell you on Friday? If they get 4 possessions, half of that. I'm okay with that. I don't want them having any more than 4 possessions in the red zone. Anything more than 4, and that's too much, and we got our asses reamed defensively. Well, they have 4 possessions in the red zone, and they only scored a touchdown on 2 of them. Again, that should be enough to win you the football game. You can win with that. Consistently in this league, you can win keeping the opposition to 2 or 4 in the red zone. You'd like them to not have that many opportunities in the red zone, but if they do, you can win with that. The problem is they also scored outside of the red zone twice, one on defense and one on a 35-yard touchdown strike. So they can't do those 2 things and then still go 2 or 4 because that's 4 touchdowns. You're not winning a football game like that. But if you can keep them from scoring outside the red zone and you can go have them go 2 or 4, you're going to give yourself a chance. That's 14 points. And if the other 2 are field goals, that's 20 points. You can win. You should win games in the NFL giving up 20 points. But they didn't limit the explosives. Again, I just told you they gave up a 35-yard touchdown. They gave up a scramble drill to Stephon Diggs, early in the ball game. And that's Josh Allen being special. He's rolling to his right under duress, and he just flicks his wrist, and Stephon Diggs gets behind the rookie, and you're like, man, it's good defense. It's better offense. What can you do? But, they had a couple of explosives in the game that you just don't want to see. And you can't give one up for a touchdown. And we did. So they got a half there. Tackle and take advantage of opportunities. No credit here for the Washington Commanders defense. I didn't think this was a really good tackling day, nor did I think they took advantage of opportunities. Obviously, corralling Josh Allen, they didn't do a good enough job there. I'd say that there was probably maybe 1 to 2 interception opportunities. One in particular with Percy Butler. I heard people complaining about Cam Curl. What did you want him to do there? I mean, the dude threw a 103-mile-an-hour fastball. And you're just happy that Cam got a piece of it. And it had so much sauce on it, it still got to Stephon Diggs in a tight spiral, even though Cam Curl got a piece of it. Like, he just ripped it. I mean, I don't really know what else you want him to do there. So we didn't have many opportunities because we didn't create them, which is a problem in itself. But I didn't think we tackled well either. So no credit for Washington's defense there. So when you total it all up, it's a 1.5 out of 8. I'm pretty sure you're going to lose every single game that has 1.5 points out of a total of 8. Last week, I think we got up to 6.5, 6.5, something like that. You'll win just about every game doing that. You won't win very many games with 1.5 keys to the game. So, back to the drawing board. After the shellacking we took yesterday, 37-3. And let's get to in other news where we hear from head coach Ron Rivera, or we heard from him today, the day after presser. And we got a chance to take a look at the snap count. So let's take a look at the snap count first. And then we'll go ahead and talk about what Ron had to say. Let's take a look at the snap count, though. So first thing that jumps out at me, screaming at me, is the amount of offensive snaps that we had, 54. All right, that's a loser number. In the NFL, you should be up around 70 offensive snaps. 65 to 70 offensive snaps is the going rate. Anything less than 65, and it wasn't a good game unless you were controlling the clock, running the ball, etc., etc. That is not what happened. We were 1 of 9 on third downs. That's what happened. And we turned it over 5 times. That's what happened, and that's how you end up with 54 snaps. That's despicable. Okay, that's disgusting. So let's just get that straight right now. But in saying that, obviously, we got Sam Cosmi up to 100% of the snaps for the first time this season. So, I mean, there's that. The entire offensive line and Sam Howell played all 54 offensive snaps, as you would imagine. Jahan Dotson, despite playing the most snaps of any receiver, 51, which is equivalent to 94% of snaps, only 4 targets, only 2 touches. Make it make sense. Help me. I didn't study at Harvard, okay? I didn't go to Penn, right? I didn't go to some Ivy League school, but I can do math. And I know 4 targets and 2 touches in 94% of the snaps ain't a good percentage. That's for damn sure. They got to find a way to get our playmakers more involved. Simple as that. Terry played 44 snaps for 81%. Curtis Samuel played 40 snaps, 74% of the snaps. This is where I got an issue right here. Antonio Gibson, 33 plays, 61% of the snaps. Brian Robinson Jr. had 20 snaps for 37%. What are we doing? What are we doing here? When Brian Robinson is averaging 7 a pop. And this what that speaks to, because Gibson's the better pass protector of the two. What that speaks to is we're throwing the ball too damn much. If Brian Robinson has 13 less snaps than Antonio, it means we're not running the football enough. We're going to talk about that in a second. Cole Turner at 31, along with John Bates. Both of them played 57% of the snaps. De'Ami Brown had 12 snaps in this game for 22%. Byron Pringle, 6 snaps, 11%. Chris Rodriguez and Jamison Crowder each played 1 snap, 2% of the offensive snaps. So now we get to the defensive side, and 68 plays total for the defense. Cody Barton, Derek Forrest, Benjamin St-Juste, and Cam Curl all played all 68 snaps. Defensively, Kendall Fuller would have joined them, but remember, he did get injured, so he missed 1 snap in the game, and so he played in 99% of the snaps. Jonathan Allen played in 56 of the snaps for a percentage of 82. Deron Payne, right behind him, 54 snaps, 79% of the snaps. Same can be said for Chase Young. Jamin Davis played in 53 snaps for 78%. That's a huge uptick for him. Obviously, the Buffalo Bills feature a 2 tight end package that they use very often. So they're often in 12 personnel. So that prompted them to put Jamin on the field more this week. So you see a huge uptick in his snaps defensively. Montez Sweat, 49 snaps, 72%. Percy Butler, 44 plays, 65% of the snaps. Manuel Forbes saw a downtick in his snaps this week, 28. I think he was up in the 40 range last week, down to 28, only 41% of the snaps in this game. James Smith-Williams, 22 snaps, 32%. John Ridgeway, 20 snaps, 29%. Abdullah Anderson, 16, and 24%. And Casey Toohill, 11 snaps, 16% of the defensive snaps. So let's go back and talk about the lack of run before we get to what Ron Rivera had to say today. I was really frustrated after the game at the lack of opportunities for Brian Robinson. He's really playing well. He played really well against Denver. I thought he should have been rewarded with more opportunities this week, especially with the conditions being what they were. You would think that running the football would have been a bigger priority for the team, and they were having success. I'm at a loss as to why he didn't get more opportunities. And after the game, and I remember seeing this from Brian Robinson last year when they would ask him, "Hey man, you had it going, and why didn't you get more opportunities?" And he's like, "Look, I can only control what I can control." And that's his way of saying, "Look, I don't have any say so in this, but I want to." He said after the game last week, "I want more carries, I want more touches, I want to help this team win." And you thought because of what he did last week, he would get that. And instead, it went in reverse, and there was no reason for that to happen. And so I think Eric Bieniemy has to take a long look at himself, and Ron Rivera and company need to take a step back and assess what it is they're actually doing here. Because while they talked about it, Rivera talked about it today, wanting to get Sam more opportunities to throw the football, it's detrimental to his growth and development right now. The best thing is for us to run the football and let Sam have the protection and the crutch of the run game. I don't understand this fascination with dropping back Sam 35 to 40 times and letting him let it rip behind an offensive line that is inferior. It just doesn't make a ton of sense. Especially, it'd be one thing if, running the football was like running into a brick wall and we're not gaining anything, and then you're putting Sam out there in third and long situations and asking him to go get it and make it, and get it done. It's not what's happening. And Brian Robinson is ripping off these 15 and 20-yard runs and these 7-yard runs on first down, and you're asking yourself, why aren't we doing this more? Doesn't make any sense. So I've got an issue with that, but Ron stepped up to the podium today, and he talked about, first of all, Ben Standing asked a question about people calling in the shows and shit like that and talking about, Sam and how long of a leash he has and should there be a quarterback change? If somebody's calling in right now talking about quarterback change, I'm not going to say anything reckless because they may not believe in Sam. And so I can't use my bias towards Sam to belittle someone who doesn't believe in him. That's not fair. But if you're talking about we 2-1, Sam's and Ron, I'm proud of him for pointing this shit out. Sam has won 3 out of his 4 starts. This was his first loss in his career. He's 2-1 this year. We have a winning record. If you are talking about benching him, I need to revoke your damn fan card. Give me that shit. You need to sit in timeout for a game or 2. Get your damn mind right. Because that's the stupidest thing ever. If we were 0-3, then maybe, and then he had a performance like that, maybe we could have a conversation. We're 2-1. And you're talking about needing to go in a different direction? I didn't hear anybody say this. I know there are fans out there who are foolish enough to make comments like that. But I don't want to get into that because that's asinine, and I don't like addressing asinine things. Okay? That makes absolutely no sense. Ron has to answer those questions. I don't. So I can just say this. That's dumb talk. And I'm glad he shot it down like, bro, what are we talking about here? I wish he would have literally dismissed it like how I do a lot of times when people say stuff and I think it's, foolishness. I just dismiss it. It may come back to haunt me and they be like, hey, remember when you dismissed me? Yeah, I do remember when I did that. Because in the moment, it was ridiculous. I wish Ron would have been more dismissive. Like, look, man, Sam has started 4 games in the NFL. 4! Not 44, 4. He's won 3 out of the 4. Yesterday was his first loss. He's 2-1 this year. Okay? We don't need to be having this discussion. Next question. I wish he would have gone about it that way. But, he kept his cool. But he said it in a way that made it, very clear. That's not what we're looking at right now. He's a young dude. He got to get all the reps. He talked about why they kept him in the game despite the beating he was taking. And look, he needs to play. And I didn't have any issues. It didn't even dawn on me about sitting him down and getting him out of harm's way in an asshole. It didn't even dawn on me to sit him down. My thing was get him reps. He needs confidence. He made some big throws on that last drive despite taking some more sacks. That throw to Curtis, that throw to Jahan. Are you kidding me? These were some big time throws at the end of a game where you got your ass whooped. I was proud of him. That let me know, and a lot of people, oh man, Sam was defeated. Sam was still out there throwing BBs and darts at the end of this game, despite getting his brains bashed in. So that let me know that young man, there was no quit whatsoever in him. The fight was still there despite being down 37-0. So I disagree with some people, and I had no issues with them leaving him in there. Ron talked about defensively, and I spoke to this already, but he literally echoed what I said yesterday on the post-game show, which was I thought that the defensive line was affected by Josh Allen's ability to run, and he had a couple of early runs in the game that broke their back on some critical third downs where they could have gotten off the field. And I thought that impacted their level of aggressiveness in terms of rushing Josh Allen. Instead of going after him, trying to get to him at all costs, now they were more concerned with, let's keep him in the cup. Let's not let him out. Well, Josh Allen, that's what he wants. He doesn't want you coming after him. He wants you he's 6'5". He ain't Sam Howell. You ain't going to just stand there and, wait for him to throw it and then jump in the air. He's 6'5", okay? He can see over the line and he can throw over the line. He wants to stand back there and have time to throw the football. And us kind of being a little bit hesitant to rush because of his ability to break the pocket and escape and make plays with his legs, I thought it hindered our pass rush ability, which is why I would have gone with a spy. Not the entire game, but early in the game to set a tone. Hey, you won't be doing that shit today. And then you ease off of that and maybe, and you tell your guys, hey, we going to have certain packages where we got a spy. You just go. You just go and try to get it. And I would have only had that on third downs. If he breaks the pocket on a second down or a first down play, so be it. But on third downs, where we got him, ain't no way. Ain't no way in hell I'm going to let Josh Allen break my back on 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 12 like he did in this game. Not having it. 3rd and 10 from their own 25-yard line, you let them run for 13. 3rd and 10 from their own 11-yard line, you let them run for 23. You know, I can't let that happen. So he talked about that. And then he talked about the play calling, you know, and assessing, you know, what they need to do better. And he talked about not, you know, getting Jahan more targets. And I thought he was being modest. Like, I wanted to hear from him what I heard from him last year when we didn't get J.D. McKissic involved in the offense. And he said, no, J.D. needs to touch it more. I wanted to hear that from him because you know what happened when he said that. J.D. had like 12 touches the next game, right? I needed to hear, or, you know, we need to get Terry more involved. And then Terry ends up with 9, you know, targets and 7 catches the next game. I needed to hear that about Jahan because that shit ain't good enough. 4 targets, 2 touches for one of the best players on the team. Make it make sense. I struggle with that. Don't talk to me about progressions or nothing because it's the job of the offensive coordinator to get the ball. Okay, if it's progressions, call a play where Jahan is the first read. Or put him in a position where he's the first read. I don't hear shit about progressions. Put him in a position to be the first read. Whether you got to call a play specifically that makes Jahan the first read, or you got to put him at the position in that particular play where he's the first read. So I don't want to hear that shit. Figure it out. That bothers me. But it was a short presser today. And he's like, look, we're going to find out what kind of team we are. We got to bounce back. So we're going to see if they do that or not. And that's how I feel too. We'll find out a lot about this team and their ability to overcome adversity. Because this is the first real, we've seen adversity in games. This is the first time we've seen adversity in the form of a loss and a pure unadulterated ass whipping. Now let's see how we respond. So, anyway, I digress. We'll break down the NFC East tomorrow. We'll be live tomorrow night. So this week's going to be a little bit different. As I told you guys yesterday on the post-game show, Super Friends stream is this week, Wednesday night. I'll be posting a video on the NFC East Super Friends channel to alert everyone of what the schedule will be moving forward for the NFC East Super Friends and when you can expect to see us. So you'll be seeing us on Wednesday live this week on Wednesday night, 8 p.m. on the NFC East Super Friends channel. And because of that, which is usually our night to be live, we will move that night to Tuesday night. So I have to play around with some stuff to make it all work. But at the end of the day, we'll figure it out. But I will be live with Commanders Nightly News on Tuesday night, and we will go from there. But in the meantime, it's a tough one. Our first Monday that wasn't a victory Monday, a little somber today, dark skies outside. Feels like we got our asses kicked yesterday. You lick your wounds and then see what the Eagles do tonight. But the rest of the division lost this week. Giants lost on Thursday. Cowboys lost on Sunday afternoon to the Arizona Cardinals. And now we're awaiting the Philadelphia Eagles. Ron, at his post-game, at his presser today, said he hopes that the Eagles lose tonight. You know, that would make it a great week because we didn't get it done and the rest of the division didn't get it done. Keeps you where you need to be. You know, we came into the week tied with the Cowboys and the Eagles. You'd love to leave the week tied with them. We didn't get it done. You'd love them not to get it done either. So I think the entire NFC East will be rooting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tonight. I'm not holding my breath, but I didn't think the Cardinals would get it done. So we'll see. That's why you got to love the National Football League. But we'll see what happens Monday Night Football. Eagles, Bucks, we have a vested interest in that. See what happens. In any event, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. You know I'll be live tonight after both of those Monday night games. And we'll be talking about those games extensively. And then we'll be live tomorrow night for Commanders Nightly News Live. But until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Here comes the Diesel. Here comes the Diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20.